Hey NAI football fans, Corey Thorpe here with another edition of the NAIAFBALL podcast powered by AdCraft USA, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts. Our friends at AdCraft have been with us for many years now. They've run web stores for us multiple times. These guys are NAI fans and family who are experts in the apparel and merchandise world. AdCraft allows you to take the hassle out of ordering. Let their knowledgeable design and customer service staff handle everything from hosting the store online, shipping the product, and helping your customers so you can get back to the game. Find them online at adcraftusa.com. All right, NAI football fans, this is Corey Thorpe back with another edition of the NAIF Ball podcast powered by AdCraft Custom Apparel and Merch. You heard them in the intro. We'll get right to it. Today we have Coach Matt McCarty from Northwestern. Coach, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. I look forward to visiting with you again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really weird to call a 3-loss season a down season. There are people who would kill for that. But in Northwestern terms, it sort of is. I mean, we were just talking about it as we were coming on and starting recording. Your seniors this year got to the quarterfinals every year of their collegiate career. Got a ring. Went to 2 other national championship games. Other than that, but it's a bit of a weird year, and it really started off with a guy who I can't blame for anything. Um, you know, going to another school, and that's Jalen Gramstad. I've said all year, if Florida State were to have called me and said we will let you walk on to our football team. Oh, I'm 100%. There's no question in my mind what I'm doing. Um, So I can't blame Jalen one bit, but that does sort of leave you a year ahead of expectation of having to put a new signal caller in there. What was that like having to find a signal caller on short notice, basically?
Yeah, and it was eventually, I thought the year was we really played well as the year went on. I'm really proud of our guys and how they really just kind of went through that whole season. You go back to June when Jalen decides he's going to Nebraska. Um, there's that's a lot that those guys had to work through and some adversity that they had to face throughout the season, and to end up in the quarterfinals, I think was a really good season for us in terms of just what we had to work through from week to week, and as we kind of went through that season. But yeah, Jalen, it's hard. You can't blame the kid. He's been around campus again a few times, and it's always great to see him, and it's an awesome opportunity for him. And I our commitment to our guys is we are going to help them be their best. And for Jalen, that meant helping him get to Nebraska. And yeah, it hurt us a little bit. I felt like we had maybe the best group we've had coming out of spring ball last year with Jalen at quarterback, and we played 2 freshman quarterbacks this year. Colby and Hayden did a really nice job, and they really grew as the season went on. Um, and so I'm really excited about this offseason with those 2 guys, just to see the growth that they've had, because yeah, they got thrown in the fire as true freshmen in July. Like, hey, you guys got to go and be. We need you to be really good because we've got a really good group around you, and those guys did an awesome job in how they handled that.
So you have a good start to the season, obviously getting through uh, September unscathed there, and then it's I think one of the shockers of the season, and that is the loss at Concordia there, in which it's just honestly, if you turn over the ball a whole bunch of times, it's really hard to win against anybody.
Absolutely. And Concordia had a really good football team and a really good senior group that had played a lot of football games. And yeah, going into the fourth quarter, it's a really close football game, and we turned it over a few times. Hayden Groves, our quarterback, got knocked out in the second half of that game. Um, we had some injuries up front, and that's for one of those. For us, the quarterback position and the switch from Jalen to our freshman was something everybody noticed. But really, losing Tanner Scouten was really our best receiver early in the year. We lost him week 3 against Midland. And then we battled some injuries on the offensive line throughout the whole season, which as we get into this next year, the experience that we got was big. But yeah, Concordia did an outstanding job of capitalizing on some turnovers. And they made us pay for that in that game. But it ultimately it served as a wake up call for our guys, and I think we played really good football down the stretch because of that.
Yeah, I mean the defense really was very good. Obviously, you look at the SP Plus ratings; it was the third ranked defense um, in the nation, and it really shined down that stretch run. Um, teams nobody scored more than 13 points after that Concordia game. Heck, no one scored more than 13 points other than that Concordia game where and that 13 point is Morningside there, and it's a very competitive game. It's a game in which your defense is able to turn over Zach Chevalier a couple of times, and it's just you just come up just short in another one of those thrillers between Northwestern and Morningside.
Yeah, I mean they always are. They're going to come down to the wire. They're great games. It's such an awesome atmosphere. It's so fun when we get to compete. And yeah, our defense hung in there that game. Offensively we didn't turn the ball over, and we had the ball back at the end of the game in the fourth quarter with a chance to go down and take the lead. And that's what you want in that game. And so, yeah, we just had to kind of change how we played as we went on throughout the season. They kind of fit like, all right, what's our team look like? What's our makeup look like? It's different than the years before. How do we play to win and help this team be its best? And that's something we had to figure out as we went through this season. And I think our staff was able to do that. And yeah, we had to win some games ugly and make some competitive games, but we really felt like our players adapted and played well throughout the season.
You want to you go into the next week, you talk about winning quote unquote ugly. I feel like the next week is the Frank Beamer meme of 3-2 against uh daggum Wake Forest. It's a 3-0 win versus Dort. Eli Stater hits a field goal midway through the third quarter, and you're able to make 3 points stand on its head. I Modern football has gone away from 3-0 wins, and yet here we are, old school football here.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was a physical football game. I'm really proud. Our defense executed really well, and that's a challenge when you play against Dort. They force you to execute all 11 guys to really execute and play well as one, and for our guys to step up and really just from play to play throughout 4 quarters, play the way that they did and keep them off the scoreboard was huge. And then Clayton Bosma, senior safety of ours, um, blocks the field goal as time, at the end of the game, and that was huge. It was a great effort play, um, just to kind of seal that win for us, and that was an awesome win for us, and really catapulted us into the postseason.
And we go into the postseason there. It's a little bit of an odd bird for y'all. You do get the bye week, but you get shipped off to Butte, Montana, into a team in Montana Tech who's had a really good season, defeated Georgetown at the beginning of it, and you come out in a absolute thriller. I remember watching that game and just being absolutely enthralled with the back and forth. Montana Tech scores 15 points in the fourth quarter to try to come back, but falls short 32-29. Talk to me about possibly needing some heart doctor after that one.
That game was a thriller, like you said. It was, the opportunity to go out and play Montana Tech and to play a frontier team. We'd never played a frontier team before, and to go on the road and go out to Montana Tech, awesome atmosphere, phenomenal place to play. It was an awesome experience for our guys. We bust out there, so it was a unique trip. Um, but just the way that our guys were able to come out and compete in that game, we switched quarterbacks going into that game. We went with Colby Duncan, another freshman, and Colby was a spark plug for us offensively. offensively, we hit some big plays. Austin Gerard had a huge touchdown. Connor McQuillan had a big touchdown run. And, on us a little bit, myself as a head coach, we probably went a little conservative in the fourth quarter, and you got to give Montana Tech credit. They blocked a punt for a touchdown and then hit a big touchdown through the air on us to tie it up. And then all of a sudden we had a game, and Cody Mosier makes a great play like he's done so many times with an interception and returns it to get us, towards midfield. And Logan Meyer, a senior running back for us, had a nice run. And then we knew we got it just close enough to get for Eli Stater to range 52-yard field goals. Time expired. And as we call it, Montana Tech called timeout before that. And I told Eli, like, you got plenty of leg. Just make sure you're on target. And I don't think he got it as well as he could have, but he got just enough of it and got it through the uprights.
Then your season does come to a close the next week. You fall 17-0 to the eventual national champs. I know there's no, we've talked so many times, there's no such thing as a good loss, but that one at least might make you feel a little better going, well, at least they beat everyone else.
Grandview's got a really good football team, and when you prepared for them and you looked at them, you saw a team that there really wasn't weaknesses anywhere. Jackson Waring did a phenomenal job at quarterback. Their defense was outstanding, and Coach Woodley and their staff, they did a really good job. We had some chances in that game to make some plays and to make it a game, but they were a really good football team. And for our guys to go down there and compete like they did, I thought I was really proud of that. The last 5 years, we've either won the national championship or lost to the team that won the national championship. And, so our guys going to compete against the best and did a really good job of that.
Let's take a look then at your team going forward here. Is just checking your roster. It looks like you might be fresh out of Friars, but I think you've still got one Mosher floating around here. It's going to be an interesting season next year for you because you lose a couple of running backs, including Connor McQuillan, who I wasn't sure was ever going to graduate. You do return back Austin Gerard, and then I would assume Tanner is probably coming back after injury on your wide receiver core. You've got a couple of quarterbacks who were able to lead you in the fire last year. Talk to me about making sure that you're getting the right pieces in the right place.
Yeah, Connor McQuillan and Logan Meyer have been, 5-year starters for us at running back. And so, you're not going to replace those guys. You're going to replace their production. And, we went from a 4-year starter in Jacob Calagonis in 2019 to Connor McQuillan in 2020. And it's like, who's this kid? And then, we're in the national championship that year. And we had 3 really good freshman running backs that we redshirted last year that we're really excited about. We have a really good class of running backs coming in. And the big thing for us is the experience that we gained last year on our offensive line. 4 guys coming back that were starting it for us in the postseason. And then the experience we have at quarterback for both Hayden and Colby. That piece is really big. And I'm really excited for spring ball to start up here soon. And just to see the growth from those guys. Physically, they look different. Physically, they're in such a much better spot right now than they were last August. And I think that's a big piece for us. On the outside, I think we've got some really good weapons on the outside that'll get some shots now. And, I think we'll see a lot of growth offensively from last year to this next season.
Then on defense, it's looking at the stats, and I noticed that there was a group of about 20 that I would say kind of went and met our threshold of this is where we kind of count. But then there was a group of about 40 or so players that didn't register 10 tackles. So there's a lot of players that got a little bit of playing time. And even though you're bringing back a minority of your effective defense, you're losing guys like Parker for the second time, that is, Tristan Mulder, Cody Mosier, Cole Telford. It feels like you've got some guys who got good game reps last year that didn't quite, didn't play enough to make the all conference. Talk to me about getting those guys and finding the right guy there.
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of young guys that are really hungry for that opportunity to compete, and this spring I think is going to be really competitive because, yeah, you lose some guys like a Parker Fryer, or Cody Mosier, or Tristan Mulder, have been multi-year starters and have played a lot of football for us. Now you have guys who've been waiting their turn behind them, really chomping at the bit to get out there and compete. For us defensively, it all starts up front for us. And I think the best part of that about that, or where I feel really confident going into next year, is return two All-American defensive linemen inside with Tristan Voss and Jacob Dragstra. And then on the outside, we return Corver Dema, who's an all-conference player. And then still have Ben Egley at linebacker, who's another all-conference player. And so that core, I think, will be really good for us defensively and allow us to break some younger guys in on the back end. Kyler Fritz will be back at safety. Kyler started his freshman season for us and really rotated in at safety last year, but started all postseason for us as a true freshman on our run to the national championship in 23. So guys with some experience on the back end, like you said, they've played some and they've been in games. They just maybe haven't started some games. Like Luke Yaltama started a couple playoff games for us in his career at corner. So it's guys that understand what the level of play is that we want on that side of the football. And for us up front, I think that group up front on the defensive line will really allow us to get some younger guys some experience behind them.
Conference wide, it's Dort really had had a good season over there, but is losing just. They had a very large senior class. Kind of their window seems to be maybe closing on them. Um, Concordia, you mentioned, had a lot of seniors. Not a ton of those guys like DJ McGarvey and Austin Jablonski were seniors, not coming back. Window's kind of closing on them. What team in the GPAC do you think has their window really opening or could make an outsized impact this year that you're seeing that's on the rise?
I think one that you'd notice is Mount Marty. I think the growth of their program, and as a brand new program, the growth from year to year that you've seen. I think they had their first winning season last year now, and they've just steadily improved from year to year. Yankton's a really good football town, and I think that's a team that they'll continue to get better. I think their coaching staff does a really nice job with them, and I think that's a team that you'll see kind of fighting and to get into that top group of our conference. But those other teams like Concordia, they'll have some really good players back. Dort's going to be solid. Morningside is going to be really solid. I think our conference has been really competitive, and I don't feel like our league probably gets the credit it needs to outside. And that's part of it is just Morningside and us have done really well in the postseason. Um, but I think our league from top to bottom has been improving a lot, and I think we have some teams that could really make some noise with that opportunity. Midland's been a really solid football team as well, and I think just I'd like to see our league find a way to get into the postseason a little bit more and just have an opportunity to compete.
Yeah, I know Concordia was really uh, on the cusp. They were one of those first teams out, I think, honestly, and I think really their early loss before they really hit their stride killed them there. But yeah, I mean they've got Mark Arp coming back, who was a 1,200-yard back last year. So if they can find a signal caller, I think they'll be good. We have been watching Mount Marty, obviously. Matt Schwartzler over, who usually covers with me, is a little biased on his Dak West, but you know Mount Marty has been a team that has a deep football history. Like they have teams that go back to years starting with 18. Um, so I am also very interested in seeing what they do. They were middle of the pack last year, SP Plus, and for that team where they started, that's a really good spot for them to be. So, what area of your program, whether it's something on the field or off the field, are y'all really wanting to focus in on in this upcoming season?
Yeah, that's a great question. For us, the focus right now is just on the growth as a team, and for us, the excitement of spring ball and getting out there and competing again, that's coming. That's down the road. And I've been really impressed with our players and just their focus on the day to day and the importance of showing up every single day and not having bad days and stacking great days. That's something we talk a ton about within our program. Is consistency is the difference maker. Can you show up? Can you consistently be great day in and day out? And that's something that as a for a young group of guys, some guys that are having that opportunity to compete now for the first time, that's big, and that's going to be a separator for them. And they've really embraced that. They've stacked a lot of really good days this off season, and when we get to spring ball at the end of March, they'll be ready to go. But we can't skip ahead to that. We've got to be really great right now in our workouts, and our guys have done that. And it's been fun to see just them really embrace that mindset.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for coming on today. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. I'm so looking forward to the upcoming season. There's so many interesting portions. You talked about the Frontier, and it's the first time you've played the Frontier. Well, yes, but also, y'all have a history of playing Dickinson State, who is also making its way over, and so now you've played the Frontier plenty of times.
Yeah,
So
now we played them a lot. Yeah.
right, exactly. That's really
Yeah.
that's always interesting. You've got Waldorf over; it's their second season in. Um, there's a lot of things going on that are very interesting. Obviously, we are going to be missing our friends at Concordia, but seeing them being able to get folks into places and be able to send their program off right is nice to see. But really looking forward to the upcoming season and watching what all the national scene is going to have to offer.
Yeah, I think nationally it's going to be really competitive. I think that's what you're seeing across the landscape now is the players and the kids with COVID years are graduating and out of programs, and I think the level of play across the country has just improved, and I think you're going to see a really deep, uh, just a really deep field across the country that can compete at a high level right now.
Do you bring up COVID, and I've been interested in this for a few years and its impact. Do you think that teams have been able to really utilize COVID to its fullest potential and making sure that you've got the depth there, or do you think that it's just been for some teams something that they haven't been able to take advantage of?
I feel like for us, we had quite a few fifth year seniors. That were able to play 5 years. And I think that you've seen that across the country. There's a lot of teams that were really senior laden last year that had 30 plus seniors on their squad. And I think a lot of that was because of that group that yeah they could have played in 2020, but it didn't count for them. And so I do think you'll see a little bit more turnover from teams in terms of they graduated some big groups and groups that have played a lot of football. So I think it was a positive for teams and for programs in terms of the depth that they got to build, but then the experience that they get to put on the field the past few years. I think for us, a big step for us was really starting to redshirt players, a handful of years ago, and I think being able to put mature fourth, fifth year seniors on the football field consistently, that's been really big for us.
That is always huge. So, Coach, thanks for taking the time out on a weekend. A little peek behind the curtain. This is midday Saturday. Um, Thank you for taking time out and actually seeing the inside of your office on a Saturday. I know you don't have to do that. We appreciate your friendship and what you've done to help us.
Absolutely appreciate you guys. Always fun visiting with you.